Back to you.
He went from the most streamed rapper in America to federal prison in less than a year. And when he finally got out, he came home to a war and a label deal that had turned into a cage. This is the full story of Pooh Shiesty. And by the end of it, you are going to understand exactly why 2026 became the year everything exploded. Lantrell Williams Jr. was born on November 8, 1999 in Memphis, Tennessee. He grew up in the Cane Creek Apartments in South Memphis, the same part of the city that produced Young Dolph, and the same streets that would define everything he became. His father, Lantrell Williams Sr., rapped under the name Mob Boss and ran his own label, Mob Ties Records. He was also in and out of serious legal trouble for decades. Murder accusations, drug charges, gun charges, a pattern that Shiesty would eventually mirror almost exactly. His father was the primary custodial parent, but when he finally went to prison for real, Shiesty had to move to Pflugerville, Texas to live with his mother. A calmer environment, a different life, briefly. It did not last. His father got out. Shiesty went back to Memphis. And by 6th grade, according to his own accounts, he was already repping his own gang, the Chopper Gang Military. His older brother TDP gave him the nickname Shiesty, and Lantrell himself said the name reflected his lifestyle at the time, someone who would snake or cross people whenever it benefited him. He said it directly. He was not hiding what he was. By 2014, he was 14 years old and repping a new crew called OG Lump Gang, named after Myron Armstrong Jr., a 16-year-old known in South Memphis as OG Lump who had been killed in a double shooting in Orange Mound. OG Lump had connections running through multiple South Memphis gangs, including Trula Mafia, whose members would later allegedly kill Young Dolph, and the Young Mob, whose members would drive the revenge cycle that followed. Memphis's underworld was already a web that Shiesty was walking directly into. The music started around 2017. Shiesty and his crew were clearly shaped by the original Memphis sound. Dark beats, horror movie samples, aggressive delivery. Their first real track to gain traction was Breaking News in 2018, shot right in front of the Cane Creek Apartments, with Shiesty rapping over a beat built from the Halloween theme. He opened his verse talking about robberies, shooting someone with a Draco, and promising he could not be trusted. It was not a persona. He was describing his life. The breakout came after he and his cousin Big Scar, repping a crew called Double R, both signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 Records in 2020. Their careers jumped to another level overnight, millions of views, a real industry platform. Shiesty's close friend Big 30 had separately signed with Moneybagg Yo's Bread Gang Entertainment, and the two stayed connected, releasing music that quickly dominated Southern rap. Everything was accelerating. And then Shiesty pressed self-destruct. In October 2020, he was in Bay Harbor Islands outside Miami, trying to buy sneakers, weed, and settle a McLaren rental extension. Somewhere in that parking lot, he decided to rob the people he had come to meet. The whole thing was caught on security cameras. He accidentally left a Louis Vuitton bag with $40,000 cash on the ground when they fled. He was arrested within days. The judge found the whole thing so illogical, a rapper with cash in his pocket trying to rob someone at gunpoint, that he granted bond anyway. He used that bond wisely. Back in Blood with Lil Durk dropped in November 2020, the same day King Von was killed, with Durk learning the news on a live stream while debuting the song. The track hit 500 million views on YouTube. Shiesty became the most streamed artist in the entire United States. His Shy Season mixtape topped Billboard and Spotify charts simultaneously. Gucci Mane gifted him a custom Jeep Trackhawk. His face was on billboards in Atlanta, Miami, and Toronto. He was also still in the streets. The Back in Blood lyrics were a direct diss at a North Memphis crew called EBG, referencing guns that Chopper Gang had allegedly taken from them. EBG fired back with response tracks wearing CGK, Chopper Gang Killers, on their hoodies. The beef ran hot for months. Then Memorial Day weekend 2021, he was performing at the King of Diamonds Club in Miami when someone in the crowd grabbed money from his pockets. He pulled out a gun and fired inside his own show. He was caught on camera leaving the club wiping down the weapon with a napkin. He turned himself in about a week later. Bond denied. The federal indictment on the McLaren robbery followed. In April 2022, Shiesty was sentenced to 63 months in federal prison, 5 years and 3 months. His rocket ride to the top of American rap was over, before he had turned 23. While he was locked up, Memphis turned into a war zone. Young Dolph was killed in November 2021. What followed was framed publicly as sliding for Dolph, but in reality, it was years of tension between North and South Memphis finally erupting. The Young Mob, a South Memphis gang with deep ties to Dolph's paper route empire, became the primary force in the streets. Shiesty's Chopper Gang and Big 30's KSBG crew were on the other side. Multiple KSBG members were killed during the years Shiesty was inside. Big Nookski, Cheese Dollar, Big Grape. Each death connected to the Memphis War, each one someone from Shiesty's world, and double R rappers like CEO Gazelle and Kato 2 Times, men who had once shared overlapping circles with Shiesty, had fully aligned themselves with Young Mob. This is where Gucci Mane became the problem. In 2023, while his artist Pooh Shiesty was sitting in federal prison watching his friends get killed, Gucci Mane collaborated with BEO Lil Kenny, a Young Mob rapper, and shot a music video in Walker Homes surrounded by Young Mob members, including their alleged leader, Stupid Duke. Young Mob was openly claiming murders of Shiesty's people in their music. Gucci shouted them out on record. Then Gucci signed Kato 2 Times, a double R rapper aligned with Young Mob, to 1017, even while Kato was rapping about deaths of KSBG members in his songs. From inside a prison cell, watching all of this play out, Shiesty's own label boss was not just ignoring what was happening to his people, he was actively collaborating with and platforming the side that was killing them. That is not a business disagreement. That is a violation. Shiesty also had legitimate grievances about the deal itself. He had signed with Gucci before Back in Blood had even dropped, meaning the contract was structured for an artist at a far lower level than where he actually landed. He became one of the most streamed rappers in America, while locked into terms that did not reflect that reality. The label had benefited enormously from his success. The feeling that they had not protected him, and had then actively disrespected him, was not irrational. Shiesty got out in October 2025. He went quiet for a few months, then dropped First Day Out, FDO, in December. #1 on Billboard's Hot R&B hip-hop chart, 50 million YouTube views on the video. He sounded exactly like himself, sharp, confident, back like he never left. But in the song itself, he was laying everything out in plain sight. He rapped about signing his deal before Back in Blood existed. He referenced not sending a hit in 3 years, timing that matched his prison sentence. He shouted out Yo Gotti, CMG's head, a deliberate dig at Paper Route Empire and at Gucci simultaneously. He rapped about being both the CEO and the top shooter for his gang, saying he could not just focus on music even now, that he still had responsibilities in the street, and he dropped a line that felt like it was written directly about the Gucci situation, rapping about signing his deal on getting locked up, never even getting to see if it actually worked in his favor. Coming into 2026, all of it converged. The deal that had underpaid him, the label that had collaborated with his ops while he was incarcerated, the Memphis War that had taken multiple people he loved, the feeling that he had come home to a situation that required a response on multiple fronts simultaneously. And then came the biggest crash out of his entire career. That story is coming in the next video. If you want to be there for it, subscribe now. And drop in the comments, do you think Gucci Mane crossed a line with those collaborations? Or was it just business?